Welcome Bitcoin friends, it's Bitcoin Mamo. Today we're going to look at the Bitcoin charts, we'll do some TA, look at various time frames. We've just had the weekly, the 2-week and the 3-week close come in. So if that sounds interesting, stay tuned. Let's get into the charts. So I want to start here on the 4-hour time frame and we'll work up to the higher term time frames. And obviously we had this big $10,000 dump here and we've been going sideways since then. So I was watching this trend line here initially. We did have several touches. We managed to break above this trend line and we did come back down and test it for support and we did get that bounce. And then we did have this crazy candle here where we did wick down to 44.9 and did go as high as 46.4. This was just before the weekly close came in here. And now we're seeing a dump back down, filling out this wick. So some quite volatile price movement here. And I do think that this is because we're coming into that golden cross. It's only a couple of days away and quite often we do see a lot of volatility going into that cross at those levels where it's about to cross. Also, I was watching the RSI here. We did have higher lows on the RSI and lower lows on the price on the 4-hour. And this is bullish divergence and we did get a bounce from that. Perhaps we are going to come down for one more low, make a lower low here and make a triple bullish divergence. We would need to make a higher low on the RSI also, while making a lower low on the price, which would be below 44,860. And quite often a triple bullish divergence on a 4-hour is quite a good bottoming signal. We do see the stochastic RSI starting to come down here. We do also see that if we do the fib retracement from the low to the high, that we did get support here in this golden pocket area several times. So we might come back down one more time to test that. Looking at the immediate fib retracement here from this low to this high, we can see we're currently around that golden pocket area where we did get this bounce on this candle also. So I would like to see this area hold, but if we do go lower, we might be setting up for that triple bullish divergence. I think we're also in this triangle pattern here, just connecting the lows and the highs here. We can see we did wick down one more time to this triangle, and looks like we are coming in to test that area again. So also would like to see this one hold. I think if we can get a bounce here and test the upside, there is a good chance that we will break to the upside, but anything could happen. We can see the 4-hour EMA ribbon here has been coming down and expanding, and we did get rejected here from the ribbon. So usually it does take a few goes to break above this ribbon. I'm also looking at these other two trend lines here. We can see we have this one just connecting the low and this previous low, and I'm just watching that one also, and that would be currently at around 44,400. And I also have this trend line here just connecting these top two candles. We can see we almost got up to this trend line on this pushback up. But I do think if we can get above this trend line, this would be a good sign that we're possibly going to break this larger triangle pattern here. Moving to the daily, we can see that golden cross is getting very close here, as I said, probably in the next 2 days. And that's just looking at the yellow 50-day moving average and the red 200-day moving average. And I think probably in 2 days we'll see that cross. And again, we are getting that volatility coming into this cross right at this cross level. I have seen happen on previous occasions. We did end up closing the day above the 200-day moving average. That is a good sign. We have dumped back down so far today, but the day has only just started. We also see the golden cross is starting to get closer, although these lines are looking more and more parallel. So we would need to see some more upside to get the golden cross on the futures chart. And these moving averages are a lot lower here. These are around 41.8, 41.2. We see the stochastic RSI on the futures charts all the way at the bottom here at a 1 reading. And the RSI is around this 50 level. Back to the spot price chart on the daily, and so we have that fib retracement from the low to the high here. We did get that bounce in the golden pocket area, and currently we're testing this 0.5 level. We also have these order blocks drawn in here. So you can see this red candle here in an uptrend. This was a supply and demand zone. There were buyers and sellers here and a bit of a battle. So this becomes an area of interest. I have this order block here with this green candle in the downtrend. And we can see we're basically playing between these two levels at the moment. So we did try to push up here before the daily close on this order block. And we did come back down and close below it. And now we are getting this push back down. So perhaps we're coming back down to test this lower order block. The top of this order block is at 44.6 and the bottom of the order block's at 43.850. It has acted as support 3 times here. So we'll have to see how Bitcoin responds to this order block. Looking at the stochastic RSI, it's also quite low like the futures charts, down to a 5 level. And looking at the RSI, we were looking for this hidden bullish divergence where we have lower lows on the RSI and higher lows on the price. And for that to be confirmed, would like to see Bitcoin get above these previous candle closes here, also above this order block, which again is at around 46,400. Also have this trend line drawn here on the RSI. And just zooming out, we can see we had several touches here. And this big drop, we did come down to this trend line and we did get this bounce. And looks like we are coming back down to test this trend line again. And it does correspond to this low here where we started taking off again. And also this low up here. Although this was the bullish divergence here that played out with higher lows on the RSI, lower lows on the price. But I do think this trend line's important to watch. It has acted as support once. Pulling up the EMA ribbon here on the daily. We can see currently the ribbon has been acting as support. We've come down to the bottom of the ribbon here a couple of times, and it has held so far. The bottom of this ribbon's at 44,930. So would like to see it close inside this ribbon, and we could wick down into this order block, but as long as we close the daily back inside this ribbon, it is still acting as support. The top of this ribbon is at 47,150, and I would like to see Bitcoin get above this ribbon just to confirm that we are going to push higher again. And on the weekly chart, we did just open a new weekly candle here, and we can see the EMA ribbon has had another uptick, and the top of the ribbon now is at 43,530. If we were to come down, I would expect this to act as an area that we would bounce again. I do think this ribbon will hold, and we also have this order block here on the weekly, and I think this will be key to get back above if we are going to push back towards those all-time highs again. And the top of this order block's at 49,300. The bottom of it is at 48,850. And that daily order block also is approximately in this area. So this will be a key area to get back above if we are going to push higher here. Looking at the stochastic RSI, it has started coming down here on the weekly. The RSI, we were watching at this trend line, just connecting the tops here. And we did get above this trend line, which was quite bullish. We have come back down below the trend line, so we'll need to get back above this trend line to give confidence that we are going higher. Also have these two white trend lines drawn here, these horizontal lines. We did come back to these trend lines, and I'm expecting these to hold, and we are going to get a bounce here. And if we just look back in the past, we can see this trend line was a bounce point on the initial bull run here after the stock market crash, when we recovered and started moving a lot higher. Also in 2017, this area, this 54 zone on the RSI on the weekly, acted as support during the whole 2016-2017 bull run. So we can see during this initial run up here after the stock market crash, we came back to this level several times and acted as support. And we also came back to that weekly EMA ribbon, and this is where we did get support. And once we did get that bounce, we really started taking off here. And looking quickly at 2017, we can also see that we came back to this ribbon several times here, and also back to this trend line, and this was the area that we did bounce from. Looking at the 2-week chart, we've been looking at this chart quite a lot. I think it's one of the more important ones to look at. And we can see we have these order blocks on the 2-week chart, these 3 order blocks. And we did close above the bottom of this order block here. We just opened the new weekly candle here and the 2-week candle. And we did end up closing inside this order block, which is a good sign. Currently we are slightly below it, but this is obviously has 2 weeks to play out here. And we can see here previously we did get stuck in this order block. We did come back down, and on the following 2-week candle we did end up pushing a lot higher. And interestingly, the bottom of this wick here is actually in line with the bottom of this wick on this pullback. I think we need to close this 2-week candle above the top of this order block at 48,560. And I think if we do that, that will show that we've come back down, tested it as support, and it's held. And then I'd be confident that we would move to this higher order block in the mid 50,000 area. You can also see how these order blocks correspond with the VPVR, amount of volume traded at certain price levels. We can see these biggest spikes pretty much line up with these order blocks. So they are key areas of interest of supply and demand. And looking at the RSI and stochastic RSI on the 2-week chart, we were comparing this to the 2013 cycle and that mid-cycle pullback. And we'll just look at how that comparison is going. We can see that we have these parallel lines drawn on the RSI connecting the tops, the mid-cycle top, and then the pullback. And we also had a similar pullback here. We've had a nice bounce, and now we're starting to get a pullback again, quite similar to what we did here 2013 mid-cycle. We can see that here it lines up with this area, and we did talk about that quick wick down on this candle, how it was similar to the current 10,000 drop candle that we did have. So I do think there's a lot of similarities here. We got this mid-cycle pullback, and then once we did get that bounce, we did finish off the bull run. Looking at the stochastic RSI, we also see a similar thing. It started to curve around here a little bit like we're doing currently, and then eventually it turned back up and we carried on with the rest of the bull run. So I do think something similar is happening, and that comparison is still playing out. And some people might say that this pullback here does look similar to the pullback at the end of the bull market here. We had a drop and a bounce, and then we did roll over and go lower. And also on the stochastic RSI, we did have a bit of a bounce and then roll over to the bottom again. But to that, I would say if we look at the fib extension from the previous bull market high to the bear market low, we can see this mid-cycle pullback occurred at the 1.618 level, and the bull market top was at the 2.272 level. And in the current cycle, we can see we came up to that 1.618 level. We're having this mid-cycle pullback, and I do think the rest of the bull run is going to carry higher to this 2.272 level around the 210,000 area. So I don't think the bull run is over, and I don't think it's similar to this one. I think it is a mid-cycle pullback. So let's have a look at market Cipher now and see what we can see. 4 hour currently has a red dot here, but this candle hasn't closed yet, so we'd have to wait for confirmation on that. But this has been quite choppy here, and we need to look at the higher term time frames to gain a bit more of an idea of what's going on. We see the 6 hour did get a green dot here, but it also has been quite choppy. This blue wave was looking to come back up above the 0 line. It looks like it's starting to curve around again, so it's a little bit unreliable using the 6 hour here. The 12 hour has been a bit more reliable, and we can see we do have a green dot here on the 12 hour. It did get confirmed here on the new open of this week, so that is a good sign for the bulls. The money flow in the green has just started to be at the 0 line, perhaps slightly red. So hopefully we can get back into the green after getting this green dot. We can see these green dots have been fairly reliable here on the 12 hour. We see the green dot here precipitated this pump, this green dot here, this pump. This green dot, next one, wasn't quite as reliable. We got a small pump, but then we did come back down after that red dot. And this last green dot here was quite reliable. We got a nice pump to the upside. So that is another sign for the bulls here with that green dot. I think for the bottom to be confirmed though, we really need to see a green dot here on the daily. So that 12 hour might have a green, a red, a green dot next to each other. And I think once we get this green dot on the daily here, it will give me a lot more confidence that we have bottomed and we're going to start pushing higher again. As we can see on this low down here, the green dot really cemented that move back to the upside. And quite similar in this choppy area here, where we had lots of green and red dots. We ended up looking for, on the higher term time frames, a weekly green dot to confirm a bottom. And that once that weekly green dot did come in, it did show us that that was the bottom and we could go higher. But on this occasion here, on this pullback, I think the daily should be able to give us that confirmation. So this might be a couple days away here, depending if we do get a decent bounce, then this will obviously come sooner. But otherwise, I think this might come maybe on Wednesday. And just to show you that on the weekly, when we were looking for that weekly green dot here, that really cemented that the end of this correction was over. And currently on the weekly, we can see it starting to curve around. We don't have a red dot here yet. But again, keeping that comparison with the 2013 mid-cycle pullback, which was here before this run-up, what we can see is we did have this mid-cycle pullback. We got the green dot on the weekly. We came back up. We started curving back around. We did get a red dot here on the weekly. That was that big wick down, similar to our recent $10,000 pullback. And then 2 weeks later, we got that green dot again, and we finished off the bull run. So I think we might see a similar thing here. We don't have that red dot yet, obviously. and it doesn't have to be the same. But if during this week we get that red dot, it was that big pullback, and we might see following a couple of weeks later that green dot again, and the rest of the bull run really start taking off. We did open a new 2-week candle. Everything looks fine on the 2-week. We got that green dot obviously at the start of August, and this is currently still moving up with this wave. The 3-week did have this green dot, and that did get confirmed. We did just open this 3-week candle today, so there is 3 weeks to go. We do currently have a red dot, which is a bit concerning, but this is going to take 3 weeks to play out, whether this red dot hangs around or it disappears. And interesting to note, looking back here on this mid-cycle pullback, once we did get that green dot, it did initiate the rest of this bull run. But if we were comparing this to a cycle top here, we had this pullback and we got this green dot, and then we did get that red dot, and then we did obviously go into this bear market. So a lot's hedging on this red dot, I think. If this red dot disappears, then it's a lot similar to this mid-cycle pullback here, and perhaps we're going to go a lot higher. But if it does get confirmed in 3 weeks, then I would be cautious, and maybe this is the top of the bull market. Personally, I don't think it is. Using those fib extensions levels, it doesn't make sense to me that that's the top of the bull market. I think it's too low of a target from the previous all-time high, and also topped out too early in the 4-year cycle. So it's something to watch, and as we can see right there, the red dot has just disappeared. So around that 45,000 area is where the red dot will appear below that, and above it it will disappear. So I think that's really the line in the sand there. So there are bullish and bearish signs here, and just a quick summary. We have this 53 level on the weekly RSI, which has acted as support in the past. We are at that level. We do have the whole week to play out. That's bullish as a bounce area. We also have the weekly EMA ribbon as support down at 43.6. We have the daily EMA ribbon, which is currently acting as support, and that's at 44.9. We also have the trend line on the daily on the RSI, which has acted as support twice here, and we also got a bounce here, and we also have that possible hidden bullish divergence building up here on the daily also. So these are the key levels to watch. I do think that this order block will hold here, and again the top of that's at 44.6, the bottom's at 43.8. And it's key that we get above this daily order block, which is the top of it's at 46,400. And we also have this golden cross, which is due to happen in the next couple of days, and I think a lot of this volatility is because of this golden cross. And also the stochastic RSI has completely cooled off here on the daily. Also have that green dot on the 12-hour, and now we just need that green dot on the daily, which might also take a couple of days and correspond with that golden cross. So I think that's about it. Thanks for watching. I'm Bitcoin Mamo. See you next time. Bye. And just a quick update before I could get the video out. We did have another 4-hour close, and we did manage to make a lower low, but also a higher low on the RSI. So we do have that triple bullish divergence on the 4-hour chart now, and would like to see Bitcoin get a strong bounce from this and come back into this yellow triangle. We did also come back down to this white trend line that I was watching, which is just a trend line connecting the overall low 29k and the low of this pullback. So let's see if that 4-hour bullish divergence can play out. We can get back into this yellow triangle. This could be seen as a fake out. Normally a failed move in one direction will result in a stronger move in the opposite direction. So hopefully we can get that bounce on that divergence, come back into this yellow triangle.